Before we start this video, I want to first appreciate you for watching my previous videos. And if you're new to this channel, I just want to say thank you for taking the time to watch this video, right? So next, we're going to go right into what your identity looks like, right? This is still very raw, right? So this is just ideas I've been coming up with over the past few days. And it still needs some refinement. So bear in mind, but the goal is to have a different perspective into how our identity shapes reality, right? So we will start with this idea that there is this thing called consciousness, right? This is consciousness, right? This is the mysterious thing that cannot be fully understood yet by physical current understanding of reality, right? So this is consciousness. In this model, it is a separate thing, right? And then there's this weird thing that I'm going to denote this way, right? And this is your identity. This is your identity. And then we have reality. And reality looks something like this, right? Reality is this infinite fabric or infinite layer in this like package, and it's compressed, right? And there are things that are known layers, and then there are emergent layers, right? And this is just a working model, bear in mind, okay? So what is consciousness? Consciousness is the observer, it's the awareness, it is the individual that is driving, okay? And what is identity? Identity is the wheel. Now, identity can be perceived as an interface. So I'm just going to put this in parentheses. Identity is an interface, and that interface is what really morphs reality, right? The space around you, your consciousness is using your identity to control reality. That's just a model, and it'll make sense for the rest of our conversation. If you can get this is something that's in my head, and I'm trying to distill it as much as possible. Still needs refinement. So a year from now, if I'm still on this topic, it's going to look a lot more refined than this. But if you can understand this part, then the conversations make sense, I think, right? And they become less crazy, right? So this is your consciousness, right? Unfiltered, raw observer, right? So this is the observer. This is the driver, you can say. And the interface is the steering wheel. Your identity is not who you are. Your identity is what you're using to interface with reality, right? And I came up with this idea that identity is like a manifold structure, right? A high dimensional structure, right? And it's like it's like this manifold structure that is like really compressed, right? And it's is made up of sub interfaces. So you have this whole structure, right? And stay with me because this still needs refinement, but this is the best I can do for now, right? So you have reality that is this structure, right? This superstructure, this interface, and then you have sub interfaces, right? And these sub interface represent the layers of your identity that map to specific layers in reality that allow you to morph reality, right? So this part of you maps to some known or emergent aspect of reality, right? And your consciousness is constantly manipulating this interface structure to update this environment. And then your environment is producing some feedback back to you, through your identity, back to the perception, and the perception is taking this information and is manipulating the identity structure to produce some external outcome. If you want to change your reality, right? You have to update your identity. You have to add layers to your identity. You have to morph your identity, right? And this could be by putting continuous pressure on your identity structure. It could mean um, seeing who you are, manipulating different aspects of your identity, right? And just studying how the changes to how you perceive reality impacts reality. And then when you take certain actions, right, based on your identity structure, you see how it impacts reality and you get that feedback. So the point being that this high dimensional structure is really how we are in this dance with reality, right? The consciousness has this, the consciousness does not really see reality as it is, right? So perceived reality is it's using this black box of a cockpit to kind of maneuver through reality, for lack of a better word. Now, I can refine that later, but you get the point, right? Why do I say known and emergent? Well, I like to use the example of software development, right? Software development didn't exist as we know it today, didn't exist 200 years ago, 300 years ago, right? So that was emergence. So it didn't exist in it didn't exist in the reality of these people, and there was no interface to map to that reality. But someone, maybe Charles Babbage, what's her name, Lovelace, right? To um, they began to create an identity that started to mirror an emerging property in reality, right? And and if you think about it that way, it means that the totality of known and emergent domains or layers of experiences is what makes our perceivable reality, which means there's an infinite number of things that are possible that are just waiting for someone to unlock them by simply manipulating their identity, right? Shifting their lens, so to speak, the lens of their consciousness, right? The identity is the lens of the consciousness to see and for lack of a better word, create, right? The in the space between reality, a new fabric that adds to our shared experiences. Of all the knowns and unknowns, the delta between between what is unknown and what is known is what the consciousness can perceive or see with its reality. This is why faith is important, right? A building, a new style of building, right, might not yet exist in the reality uh, layering structure, right? But the consciousness has seen it by creating a mapping in its identity, right? Or creating an interface in its identity. That interface starts to search for a placeholder to fill in reality. And with enough consistent effort, a new layer is born, right? And the individual begins to bend reality in a way where it might register globally. There's a lot of things to really discuss, some ideas that I'm really thinking about, but let me know if this made sense to you. Like, I really do appreciate you for taking the time to watch this video. Like, this stuff gets a little deeper, right? It gets crazy, but the for me, for anyone who is thinking about the the um, the space around law of attraction and manifestation, I'm working on a model, on a framework that really explains how people manipulate reality, right? All of these fabrics represent portions of reality that your identity structure can curve. And that curvature leads to a likelihood of your desired outcome falling into your space, your reality, your orbit. So a stronger identity mass leads to bigger gravity wells, which pull in some things like we would say, I want a better life. I want to be happier. I want money, right? So all of that all of this kind of manipulation on the identity space maps to something in reality and begins to morph reality so that reality begins to bend. It's really simple, but weird at the same time, right? It's a very simple idea. Transform transform your identity, transform your reality. Bend your identity, bend your reality. Destroy or degrade your identity, right? Destroy, degrade your reality, right? I said identity, reality. So thank you for watching this video. I want to put out a few more videos like this, really get my ideas out there, right? I want to see to it that all of this goes out of my head and into some medium. And I really like to talk about it. I could just write it down and just throw it away if it doesn't make any sense. But it'll be cool to see how it evolves over time. And I can also look at how I've changed over time. So I really appreciate you. Look, you are awesome for staying this long. If you're a return viewer, I know that's a time investment. You're invested in this channel, and I'm hoping that we can get more and more valuable content in here, right? And my goal is to create mind-bending, identity-shifting content that allow you to bring your desirable outcome. So I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.